We, oh, why is it doing this? I'm just making sure that we're on. Um, we are thrilled to have you all here. This is our February MFamily conversation, Unlocking Student Engagement at the University of Michigan. My name is Rachel. I am the MFamily Program Manager, and I manage parent and family engagement at the university. I also provide critical incident response and case management in the Dean of Students office. I'm going to share my screen with you. This is interesting. It's saying that everyone is in the waiting room.
They're coming in slowly now as participants.
Okay, great.
Start again.
Um, so I am going to share my screen. Let's see if I can do this. Um, it is not allowing me to share my screen. Let's see here. I will still start talking about what we're going to do tonight. So, tonight we are going to talk about unlocking student engagement at the University of Michigan. We have many presenters here to share with you from different units and programs throughout the university. We do ask that during the presentation you use the Q&A feature. So if you have any questions, please use the Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen or the top of your screen as it may be. And we will compile all of the questions at the end for all of our presenters to answer. In the interest of time, if we don't get to your question tonight, we will answer all of the questions in a document and then we will send out all of the slides, the question and answers to you within the next week. And all of our sessions are recorded so that you can watch them on our MFamily YouTube channel. Let's see if I can share now. Okay. All right. Let's see if it works. All right. There we go. So are these are going to be your panelists for the evening. And as they start presenting, they will each introduce themselves, so you'll get to know them a little bit. And as I mentioned, we'll send the slides out to you afterward. So you'll have everyone's name and know who is speaking to you throughout the session. I am going to turn it over now to our Dean of Students and Assistant Vice President, Laura Blake Jones.
Thank you, Rachel, and good evening, everyone. On behalf of all the presentation team, I want to let you know how excited we are to be here with you this evening. And we have some very specific goals for the session tonight. We have a number of content subject matter experts here who will each introduce themselves and share some information with you. And then we want to save time for your questions. So we're going to begin by talking about the importance of your student establishing connections and finding community at Michigan. We assume that because you've come to this session, you share our goal of believing how important that is for your students' experience. Perhaps some of you are here because your student has been struggling a bit with that. And if that's the case, you should get lots of really helpful coaching solutions and answers tonight. Others of you might have students who are overly involved and you want to talk about that. So we'll try to cover the full gamut. We're going to provide information about how students can engage with support resources to help them find connections and engagement. And we're also going to allow you to ask questions and share your thoughts with us. You can go to the next slide. So to ground us, we first of all want to establish the shared understanding of the benefits that students will get from engagement on campus. Certainly establishing connections and finding community and making friends. We know that that is a goal that you and your students have, probably from the moment they get their admissions letter to the University of Michigan. The research also tells us that students will be retained at higher rates and have higher grade point averages if they find connections and community. Certainly, in the myriad of ways that they can do that, they get the opportunity to develop leadership skills. They will refine their interpersonal skills and learn just general important skills as life skills. and inclusive practices. So, for all of those reasons, everybody on this panel tonight is very much bought into the importance of student engagement, community development, and connections. You can go to the next slide, Rachel. So as we talk about resources to help your students get involved, and each of the folks on this call tonight will talk about these various places and areas for involvement that are listed here. We have a very specific resource navigator program that helps students navigate to get connected. Our Center for Campus Involvement is represented, our Dean of Students Office. We also know that from the very beginning, your student was engaging through us programs in the Office of New Student Programs. We also believe that since most of them are likely living in residence halls, their residence hall staff have been playing a significant role with connecting them and helping them get engaged. And then likely in their schools and colleges, there have been a wide array of opportunities they may be choosing to get involved with. Additionally, Wolverine Wellness and Counseling and Psychological Services, though they don't have staff present here tonight, they are also resources where students can turn if they're struggling with getting involved and find support and assistance. It's now my pleasure I'm sorry, forgot a slide. I'm moving ahead to the really important part, which is introducing you to our two student panelists. But these are also the places where our students get involved. And certainly the Center for Campus Involvement by its title lets you know that there are over 1,700 student organizations there where people find connections. Tonight, we have representatives from our central student, but there are also student governments inside each school and college. And so students often find ways to connect and engage and take on leadership roles in those settings. Many students get involved in club sports or recreational sports. Fraternity and sorority life is a common place where students are finding community and getting involved. In addition to the Ginsburg Center, Michigan Recreation, identity-based clubs and organizations, performance-based clubs and organizations, and school and college clubs and organizations. And that's a long list, but likely I left out some significant areas where your students may already be engaging. But really important that you understand kind of the range of experiences that students can have, and the fact that literally in any of these locations, there are staff and other student leaders waiting to welcome your students and embrace them in terms of joining these organizations. So now I am really pleased to be able to introduce our president of Central Student Government, Eric Veal Jr., and his chief of staff, Haley. And they are going to talk with you first a little bit about themselves, their engagement on campus, and how student government can be a place where your student could get involved. So Eric or Haley, take it away.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Eric.
I'm Haley.
And we get to serve student government. This year has been a great year. I've been a part since I was a freshman. Haley has also been a part since she was a freshman, but that's not the only way to get involved in student government. So we oversee both undergraduate and graduate students across our campus. One of the amazing things is there's so many ways to get involved. So whether that be on our executive team, our legislative team, or the judicial side of things, there's always an opportunity for students from across campus that want to embed and empower students across our campus and make sure the collegiate experience is amazing.
Yeah, and I think one, like kind of this, our central mission at Central Student Government is providing and creating opportunities for all students on campus to be seen, heard, feel connected to the campus. And I mean, I have a personal anecdote speaking to that a little bit. So I'm a junior in political science. This is my third year with CSG. I started as a freshman, but when I first came to the university, Michigan was my first choice. I was like, I don't really know what I'm doing here. I don't really know what I'm interested in. And I applied to one club every single semester, and I just like keep getting rejected from the same club in different positions. Like I can't get on this club. And so when I didn't get on the first time, first semester of my freshman year, I was like, okay, what else can I do? And student government was taking applications for the first year internship program, which I thought was a really unique way to get first year students involved. I did student government all throughout high school, so I was like, I'm burnt out. I'm tired of it. I'm not going to do it again. On a whim, I submitted an application on the very last day, and that turned out being one of the best decisions of my entire life. I think student government and CSG and being involved in CSG has been one of the most unique and unexpected blessings about being on this campus and being part of this community, not only for what the community has given me, but also for what I can give back. So it's been really unique. I've met my best friends through this program, and it's just the central part of my Michigan student experience. And so it's really, really special to be a part of this. And we want your student to feel seen, heard, and valued just as much as CSG makes me feel seen, heard, and valued.
Yeah, and so it takes a team, and so we have about 80 people on our side of things. But there is, so many ways to get involved in whether I always like to talk about my vice president. He was a junior when he got involved in student government. So really thinking about that, you 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 didn't have to come in as a freshman, but there's always ways to get involved after that. So really want to encourage any parents that are out there tonight, if your student is saying, hey, I don't know what I want to get involved to, tell them to shoot me an email and I'd love to meet with them and talk to them more about student government and how we can better serve them and make their Michigan experience even greater.
And I think another concern about student involvement on campus is the barriers to entry, one of which being like dues, fees, the cost of admission. CSG is really spectacular in the way that we have a student organization committee that helps fund startup student orgs and fund the activities that organizations do. For example, travel for a sports team, we can help subsidize that. Or you're hosting a cultural event with other organizations, we also subsidize that. And so that's another way that we kind of uplift other orgs, all of our students, all 53,000 of them on this campus, to make them feel supported and to kind of remove those barriers to entry that kind of make getting involved on campus and feeling connected a little bit harder. CSG is here to help with that.
Thank you so much. Rachel, will we just move on to the next presenter?
Yes, we are going to turn it over to Nirja.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Can you see me? I'm going to share my screen and I'm just making sure I'm sharing the right one. Okay. Can everybody see my screen? Okay. I think I see head nods. Fantastic. All right. So I'm the director. My name is Nirja Arvamudan. I'm the director of the Ginsberg Center. We are a civic and community engagement center on campus. And I'm happy to share a little bit about the scope of our work. I will try not to overwhelm you with all of the excitement because I love talking about our center. We are, let me make sure I move forward here. So we started in 1997 and Bill and Inger Ginsberg helped us establish the center. This is actually a photo of our now in-person picture, in-person building. We just moved in September. We have been around for 30 years, but got a brand new, beautiful building that looks basically like this. And we'd love to welcome your students to come see it and check it out. We support local organizations in Southeast Michigan, and we connect students to those opportunities, campus and community partners in long-term partnerships. We're the only community engagement center that's not in a school or college. So I like to say we are discipline agnostic and issue expansive. So we really try to support the interests of our campus and community partners. I'm not going to read the slide, but I just want you to know that we work with lots of folks. So hundreds of faculty every year. This is an average over the last 4 or 5 years. Over 600 student org advising sessions. We work with student orgs who are especially interested in community engagement. We work with all 19 schools and colleges. We do lots of workshops and do lots of faculty and staff consultations. And every year we have roughly over 2,000 students participate in our different programs. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail, but the way we do our work is through preparation pathways and partnerships. The first is we really focus on preparing students and faculty to really think about the ways that they can work effectively with community partners. We don't just throw students in and say, good luck, I hope it goes well. We really try to make them be successful in partnering really deeply with their community organizations. So this is just a one quote from a student in talking about how the experience of being in one of our programs really helped them realize what it means to start with community, which is a key principle of ours. The second P is partnerships. What we make sure I did that right. Oh, second P is pathways. Sorry. We talk about pathways of community engagement because we like to. This is actually based off a model based out of Stanford, and it's not important that you know the 6 pathways. What's important is that students know that there's more than one way to work for change. So we know that they're excited about the issues they care about. We want to expose them to a lot of different skills that get them to be active members of their communities while they're at Michigan and afterwards. So we're really building lifelong habits of civic learning and engagement, whether it's through community organizing and activism, research, direct service. And so I'll show some examples of how we do that. The third P is partnership. So we really try to get students to think about really want them to connect with local organizations. And so these are just some examples of the issues that health and well-being and STEM education are 2 of the most common issues that come up. And the skills that students end up developing are often around data assessment and evaluation, organizational communication. So rather than thinking of it as they're just doing a service, they actually gain quite a lot in doing their partnerships and projects with community organizations. These different examples here really show that there is a wide variety of organizations, some that are focused on environmental sustainability, food justice, education, criminal justice, health, and arts. And then each of those have different projects. Some are direct service, some are community engaged learning and research, some are policy and governance. So you can see there's lots of different ways the students connect. Just being with a partner doesn't mean it predetermines how they work with them. So we really encourage students and faculty and student orgs to really figure out what is the partnership that makes the most sense for them. So it's really a chance for students to explore more deeply. So what does this mean for students? So Ginsberg can help students engage in their communities through our programs, and I'll talk a little bit more about each of those. Training, advising, and consulting. So helping students think about how they want to do service if they're doing it through their student org. We offer some funding for student orgs as well as internships. We have a lot of community-based internships we fund to make it more possible for more students to do it. So not just the ones who can afford to volunteer their time. We do a lot of campus navigation. So as you've been starting to see, even with your students, I have a sophomore at Michigan actually too. At Michigan can be a little overwhelming. It's amazing all the opportunities, but our team can help folks figure out where to go on campus, especially around community engaged needs. We do some matchmaking in terms of connecting students to orgs that match their interests. And then we do a lot in voter engagement as well. And so these are our 6 programs. I'm not going to go into detail, but just want you to know that these are 5 of our programs. These are just gives you a sense that we host our own community-based programs. So we have a literacy program called America Reads. These, again, show the different kinds of pathways we support through our own internal programs. We have a year-long internship program called CLF, or Community Leadership Fellows. Storytelling for Social Change and Community Technical Assistance Collaborative. We love a long nickname. SFSE and CTAC, they are focused on storytelling and they're focused on data and evaluation projects for community organizations. So we had students actually create an annual report for an organization that never had one before. And so she's actually returning to the program this year. And then CTAC has done hundreds of projects over the years to try to build the capacity of organizations. We really try to leave them better off, but also with the skills they might need to do projects on their own after the students are done with them. We also offer, as I mentioned, advising and training. So we offer workshops. We have an online course that students can take that's focused on preparing them for community engagement. And we do a lot of one-on-one advising for student orgs and individuals. And I mentioned the funding. So students can apply, organizations can apply for these grants, and then individual students can apply for the internship funding. And then I mentioned the campus navigation. So it just gives you some ideas of how we help students figure out what is the best fit for them, because we know campus really well and we know community really well. So we really can be a thought partner for problem solving the kinds of things they're trying to figure out. And the voter engagement, we're actually part of a university-wide group that supports voter engagement every election season. So the midterms are coming up. And this is actually partnership with a student org called Turn Up, Turn Out. So it's really very student led, but we are the sponsor of student or of Turn Up, Turn Out. So that's how we are connected. And then we do additional support in terms of faculty and staff training and resources that support voter engagement and civic engagement generally. Last couple of things I'll say, this is just to show that we have a lot of impact in the community. So our partners that we work with have really appreciated the support they've gotten. An example up here is really showing how we actually, by supporting their communication efforts, they actually were able to reach more volunteers, and which helps them get their mission working even better. And then one of the fellows that worked with an organization was actually helped able to get them organize a report that let them get even more funds. So we're actually expanding capacity. So not only the original report, but help them get additional funds. So that's just some ideas of the ways that we have community impact through the relationship students have with these organizations. And here are just a few quotes from both a student, a faculty member, and a community partner that just shows the ways that Ginsburg plays a role in helping them achieve their goals, and the ways that we listen and connect. So that's really our main focus. Happy to answer questions if you have it at the end, but that is my spiel. So I will let the next person go.
Thank you, Nirja. I am going to pass it on to Hope.
Hello, everybody. I am just setting up the screen so we can have a fun presentation all about finding community and getting involved. So my name is Hope Ameo. I'm the lead manager for student programs at the Center for Campus Involvement, which is housed underneath the university unions. So we have 3 spaces that your students can come and get connected with others, whether that's studying, grabbing a bite to eat, or coming for a program, which I will dive a lot more into those here shortly. But we have both the Michigan Union and Michigan League, both on Central Campus, as well as our Pierpont Commons on North, which provides meeting and event spaces, lounges, reflection rooms, and a lot of different student life supports. So Dean of Students is housed within that space, as well as CAPS or counseling and psychological services, I-9, banking, and much, much more than that. But going forward into the core of the work for the campus involvement, we have a wide range of different things that your students can get involved in. And so we'll start talking about those now. So starting with numbers, right? We have over 1,700, and by over 1,700, I actually mean almost 1,800. We counted, we're about like 1,786 student organizations, but yeah, neither here nor there. So all to say, there is definitely something for your student to get involved with, right? What's great about those is that there's many different ways to find kind of where your connection point is, and I will talk about that bit here in a moment. But outside of student organizations, we also have a plethora of student events and programs that mix and meet all different students and their interest of areas. So like I said, attending a program, we try to mix it up so we have both, you know, large late night UMix union takeover type of programs where students, there's airbrush and laser tag and a skating rink and all sorts of things happening. But then we also have our smaller subsets of programmings that are focused on workshops or kind of connecting more on an intimate level to meet other students in not such a overwhelming space. So we definitely try to offer a variety of activities to meet the needs of all students that attend here on campus. The second way is to find community within a student organization. I know you have heard about this here and there. It can be a very overwhelming process when you hear almost 1,800 student orgs. You're like, how do I even get started? But this QR code that you see linked here on the slide will actually take you to Maze Pages, which is a really great space where you can filter student organizations based off of whether that's like interest or time commitment or dues or anything in between. What's also nice about that is that if that's also feeling super overwhelming, we have these things called one involvement drop-ins. And so it's where your student will have another student there to kind of guide them and ask questions. And it's a really informal 20-30 minute meeting, and they get a chance to connect on that peer-to-peer level and really find what they're looking for, which is incredibly helpful. Last thing I will say about student orgs is that we in the union have on the second floor this beautiful space called the Idea Hub. And this is for your students who are part of student organizations to come and meet. And so when they're like, we don't have a space to go to, you can be like, aha, the university unions does. And it's just a little pro tip. Nevertheless, we'll move on to fests. So we hold two different fests, student organization fest for your students. So the first one takes place in fall, which will be called Festival. It is a 2-day, very large takeover. As you can see by the pictures here on the left, it is just full of thousands and thousands and thousands of people and tables and hundreds of student orgs to try to connect with your students, right? And so if that seems overwhelming, know that there's also decompress zones within that, point one. And then the second point to this is our second festival, or I guess it's called Winterfest technically, is a lot more consolidated and a little bit less overwhelming. So when in doubt, if your student is free and available on either August 31st or September 2nd, make sure you encourage them to go look around and try to connect with other students. It's a really great way to get involved. And if you find that there's not a student org that your student wants to be a part of, they can come connect with us at the Center for Campus Involvement, and we will help them create their own. It will be a good time. So outside of that, one way that is mostly noted for our upcoming students would be Welcome Week. It is full of programming. We have about 13 or 14 different departments all across student life who are putting on these really large and intermediate activations to kind of fit the mold for your students, get them connected to the community here on campus. There's really large programs like Escapade, where we take over literally every room, to a smaller kind of subset of programming from like game night or trivia, which we're even featuring here at the Union tonight. So there's always ways to get involved, but a main source to find that would definitely be having your student go to happening at UMich edu. I'll double check with Jerry here because she'll be next and she's got that on lock. But nevertheless, it's a really great space. It's a hub for all campus departments and academic units to be able to put all of their different speaker series, programs, get-togethers, and everything in between up on that. So have no fear. This was a lot of information, but we are here, right? So we have tons of different ways that you can keep connected with us. If you're looking for specific questions related to involvement, in particular with like student organizations, please reach out to that involvement. But if your students are also just trying to find information and they have Instagram, the @UMich Unions is a solid place. It has a lot of our @UMich Campus Info has a lot of solid events and always kind of repost other stories and things. So it really helps your student get plugged into the bigger picture of campus. So if anybody has any other questions on getting involved, please let me know at the end. Thank you.
Thank you, Hope. With that, we are going to turn it over to Jerry.
Thank you. I'm just hiding my floating panel here. My name is Jerry Preston. Are you able to see the screen? Great.
Yes.
My name is Jerry Preston. I am a program manager in campus information, and the program that I'm talking to you all tonight about is the Resource Navigators. They are a group of students that were assembled a couple of years ago in response to a student survey of the entire campus collective, undergraduate, graduate students, about the pinch points at Michigan. And one of them is that students said they're well aware that there are many resources at Michigan, a lot, and yet they had extreme search fatigue for trying to go about finding them. How do you get connected if you've already gone through a Google search, landed on a website, gone through the website, think you found the right person, contacted the person, and they sent you somewhere else? So resource navigators are a team of students that are dedicated to holistic student well-being on campus by providing them an opportunity to find the places, the spaces, and the people that they need at Michigan. This particular picture is my team that was on campus during the summer. We're out at one of the county parks in Ann Arbor. But just giving you a representative of what the student body looks like that work with your students. What we know from our pilot program when we started 5 years ago almost is that students had core areas of interest and that we were best served if we became really great content experts in these areas. The primary one that students want to talk to us about is career networking, internships, and jobs, whether on campus or off campus. They also are really interested in that community building that we've been talking about tonight and how to go about sorting through all of the events that will land them in that community space that they are looking for. Not as frequently, but often students want to talk about academic reflection, general coaching, maybe changing a major or a minor, or picking up another program or a different area of interest, for example, the Ginsberg Center and how to get involved in those areas. And lastly, they're looking for general information about campus connections. So one of the things that we've done in the Resource Navigator program over the last 4 years is to work to create cross-campus collaborations with our campus partners. So we have a list of over 50 people who are in collaboration with us, and we don't send students just to a website. We send them to a warm referral, which in this case means a real person who said, yes, send us the people that you're talking to. We would love to talk to them. And that makes us feel really good, but it also enables us to talk smartly, intelligently about what they offer. We're in close collaboration and contact with them as the programs change and as their offerings change. So my students are really content experts in these areas. I did provide a little connection information. So when this information goes out from Rachel afterwards, sessions.umich.edu is where a student would go to make an appointment, either in person or virtual with our students. They can also ask a quick question that will take them to an email form, a template. So lots of different ways to navigate the process with us. But we do know that not everybody wants to talk to somebody. We have some folks that just want to read it, get what they need, and forget it. So we are present on Instagram and also provide a blog on our website at campusinfo.umich.edu. It's called Victor Views, and we cover student development and student interest content monthly, so students can go on there and get the wisdom of their peers without making an appointment. And lastly, this is just some nuts and bolts about how this program works. Appointments are available from 7:30 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. 7 days a week based on my resource navigator's availability. So you can find a time at any time. It's not just business hours. They'll find my students out tabling, and they do, because of the holistic well-being of students, a smile on your face well-being break once a month, where you can just stop by at a maker station. You might stop by at a Kona ice truck this month, or I should say the coming month, March. You can stop by and plant a shamrock and nurture your own plant. So look for the smile on your face, well-being breaks. We do ambassadorships around campus. So you'll see us at Ross, you'll see us in the LSA Hub, in the IDEA Hub for Center for Campus Involvement. So we're out and about. And lastly, the blog that I mentioned, it's Victor Views on campusinfo.umich.edu. And finally, just sharing our QR code that will take you to the bio page of the Resource Navigators. This graphic is intended to look like a grayscale subway so that you can see that Michigan has a variety of pathways and different location points. But whatever the point of your location, wherever your destination is headed, we can help you find your way. So talk to us, we can help. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Jerry. And next up is Travis.
Hello, everyone. I have the pleasure of being with you all this evening, and I appreciate those of you who are in attendance. I'll be brief and talk a little bit about our fraternity and sorority community. Hope mentioned a little bit about our 17, almost 1,800 student organizations, which are inclusive of also our approximately 56 fraternities and sororities that are focused specifically either on values-based organizations as well as some culturally based fraternities and sororities as well. So I wanted to talk briefly about that. But before I talk about the community and the organizations briefly, I want to talk a little bit about kind of how our staff is oriented around and supporting our fraternities and sororities at the University of Michigan. And so our staff is committed to supporting them, and we do that through partnering with our four supported student organizations that we call governing councils. And I'll talk briefly about those in the next slide, just to give you a sense of kind of the diversity of the fraternity and sorority experience here at Michigan. We also work with the chapter officers, so elected officers of those organizations, and all of our organizations will have alumni support through alumni advising, as well as these international organizations or headquarters staff that also are supporting the student experience here. So we work with those partners. We also work with a number of other stakeholders. Some of our organizations have properties that are located near the campus neighborhood, and we work with the city of Ann Arbor, of course, to also help support the living environments for those organizations as well. And so I just put up here our vision and mission of our office, and this is really what guides our work and how we are supporting our approximately 56 organizations. There are a number of other fraternity or fraternal organizations that are part of that 1,800 organization that is not in the Fraternity Sorority Life office. And so your student could be exploring opportunities either in a pre-professional or professional settings, which are also advised at our schools and colleges, not necessarily in Fraternity Sorority Life. So I just wanted to share briefly that as well. And so I mentioned our four governing councils, which oversee approximately 56 fraternities and sororities. The picture here is the home of Fraternity Sorority Life, which is a very historic building on our campus. We're proud that in 2020, we had an opportunity to move into this facility. And for those of you who may know a little bit about Michigan history, this was the home of the original Trotter house, or the Trotter Multicultural Center. And so when we built the new Trotter Center, we were able to use this building to really honor the legacy of student activism, but also we do that through really supporting some of our organizations that don't have actually chapter houses, as you know. And so I'll talk a little bit about our different councils as well. And so again, our community is made up of four councils: the Interfraternity Council here, which are our men's organizations, all men's organizations, that is really focused on brotherhood, leadership, and lifelong impact. This council is really focused on developing leadership skills through a number of different initiatives that they do. They typically primarily bring in first year students in terms of their membership. And so most students are first year students when they're joining. So you could have a student that is already in this experience or exploring joining the experience as well. Our next council is the Multicultural Greek Council. And this council really celebrates identity and leadership and leading with purpose, right? So many of our organizations within this council, which is made up of both men's and women's organizations, really focus on uplifting their respective cultural communities through service and cultural programming. So a lot of diversity in terms of backgrounds of folks who are finding community within the Multicultural Greek Council. These organizations take, I think, mostly probably sophomore members and above. There are some first year students who tend to join these organizations. But I would say primarily our second semester first year students or older, right? And then our National Panhellenic Council, or NPHC, which sometimes is affectionately referred to as the Divine Nine, is really focused on supporting and finding community and programming for the African American community here at the University of Michigan. And these organizations, again, both men's and women's organizations, have a history here at Michigan. They are, again, focused on community service and particularly service towards, of course, the African American local communities, African American communities. And I would say primarily the membership makeup of these organizations are bringing in new members at the sophomore, junior level. They don't tend to take first year students in terms of that, because a lot of these organizations require an established grade point average before you join as well. And then lastly, the Panhellenic Association, which is really focused on developing friendship and leadership, are all women's organizations. And primarily their membership happens in the winter semester. So they have taken in a large membership class of mostly first year students that happens every year during their primary recruitment, which happens in January of each year. The Interfraternity Council and our Panhellenic Association are our two councils that have living components to the experience. They have a chapter facilities, most of them, and may have requirements around the first year of membership being living in those chapter facilities. And again, our multicultural Greek organizations and our Divine Nine organization, or NPHC, don't have recognized chapter facilities. Many of the members do live together out in the local Ann Arbor community. But we're fortunate, again, the home of Fraternities for Life, or 1443 Washtenaw Building. We do prioritize for our unhoused organizations, recognized organization that doesn't have recognized chapter facilities as well. The last thing I'll share is just about joining, how to go about joining. And again, I mentioned different parts of a student experience might lend itself to be where they might join different councils depending on their interests. But the university also has a eligibility criteria to join any of our 56 organizations in particular. And so we do require education around the diversity of our community here. So we want students to be informed before they join, right? Are they joining the right community? We do have some requirements around, education around along a number of topics, such as alcohol and other drugs and, other risky behaviors. So we want to make sure folks are understanding bystander intervention, being a good bystander. And then we do require that a student be enrolled. They have to be enrolled as a student at Michigan, certainly, as well as being in good standing with their school or college, as well as our Office of Student Resolution Resources, or i.e. our conduct office. So they can't have a significant status with the university in terms of either academic or behavioral. And you could find the process for joining any of these organizations on the FSL website, which is fsl.umich.edu. There's a tab on that website that says join us. Really, that we always categorize joining any of our councils in 4 steps, right? So step 1 is really understanding the process of whatever organization you want to join. There's completing, again, those educational modules, as I mentioned, the FSL educational module, as well as the impact training, which houses some of those training and education around being good bystanders. And then there is the completing of our eligibility verification process, where a student go in and again, it checks to make sure that they're in good standing with their school or college. They sign our anti-hazing agreement, as well as releasing their academic grades to their organization as well, that they will be interested in joining. So happy to answer any questions. If you have a student that is either in the process or are exploring joining or have already joined and looking for additional ways to get involved as well. So thank you all for being here. And again, I look forward to answering any questions folks have.
Thank you, Travis. I'm just going to share my screen again. Um, this is one of the slides that we usually use to share at the end of our presentations with some important upcoming dates. This schedule is also on the MFamily portal website and is on the registrar's office website. So if you go to the registrar's office and you look up dates for winter semester, you will see these important dates are listed there as well. If you go to the MFamily portal, and I'll give you the slide with the information on how to get there next, you will also see these dates on the calendar in the portal. So these are just good reminders to bring up with your student as you're discussing with them their options for classes, enrollment, winter break, last day to drop classes, and those sorts of things. And with that, here is our connection information. So if you'd like to connect with the MFamily portal, the address is there. You can email any questions about this conversation, or if there was something that you heard during the conversation, but you can't remember who said it or when it was, feel free to email us and we can help you get the answers you need. Again, this recording will be posted on our MFamily YouTube channel. So all of our MFamily conversations are recorded and posted on our YouTube channel. And so you can go and watch them at your leisure. I am going to stop screen sharing now. We just have a couple of questions for our panelists. So let's go back to them. The first question is, how or what is your best advice for students that have been, as Haley mentioned earlier, maybe rejected from a certain club or have tried joining things and it doesn't fit in their schedule, or are just feeling a little bit down about not being able to connect or not being able to find their community?
So I can definitely speak to this from my own experience. It's really hard, but I think first and foremost, that's an experience that's shared amongst every single student on this campus in some capacity. Like I said in my story, like I really wanted to end up in one club, and then I found myself in student government, and that's where I wasn't really expecting it, but I'm thriving here. And so I think just go with the flow, like take the rejection as like a redirection instead of like an instance of failure, and just have trust and have faith that you'll end up in what might surprisingly be the best spot for you. I think that mindset, very open to kind of trying new things and adjusting and redirecting. And my motto this year has been to pivot for everything. That has really worked out, and I've kind of found my place. But that took up until, second semester of my sophomore year. I finally felt like this is my place. So give it time. Be okay with pivoting. Rejection is just redirection. I think that's the best advice that I could give to a student in a similar situation.
Yeah, I would also just add, try again. I applied for a consulting club my freshman year. Didn't get in first semester, got in second semester because someone was like, "Hey, look, Eric, you should apply again." And I was like, "No, I'm not." And then I ended up applying again, and then I got in. So most definitely, I would say try again. And there's all so many opportunities here. You're bound to find something you really like.
I also think in the question that at least in the that was written, that there was a question around the competitiveness. And I think I just want to re-emphasize that not every experience on campus is competitive. It can be, we have lots and lots of opportunities that are open to everyone. And part of it, I think more than the competitiveness, I think it sometimes is the overwhelm of just like how to choose between all of the wonderful options. So I think, like I said, I have a sophomore here at Michigan, and one of the things I'm always encouraging her to do is just try something different. Go to a different event. And so she is a sophomore and she's still exploring because there's so much to get into. And, you mentioned like volunteering and other things. There are lots of volunteer opportunities that are not through a program. Ginsburg has a volunteer portal that works with United Way. And so students can find ways to connect with others through volunteering. Often classes have opportunities where you're getting to know each other and can, connect that way. So I think part of it is, get part of being in college is learning more about yourself and what interests you. And so trying different things is a great way to figure that out. Sometimes what you thought you would, really into in high school really shifts when you get into college, and it's just trying things. So just want to say that not everything is competitive.
Thank you. Anyone else want to share before we move on?
I'm always a big advocator of go to the programs. I promise you, you don't know how many times we see students come in by themselves and end up walking out with a new friend or at least a number of a peer that they were able to join. The second thing, and I already mentioned it, is that if they're looking for like a non-competitive student org, that involvement drop-in, if you're feeling very overwhelmed, or even the resource navigator students, they all are immensely equipped with all of the resources to help you find your place here to connect on campus.
And I will give a plug for the Dean of Students office because that's where I work. If your student is finding it challenging to navigate, overwhelming, is having trouble finding their place, isn't sure where to begin, they can always drop into the Dean of Students office between 8 and 5, Monday through Friday. They can call, they can email, and we're happy to help point them in the direction, point them toward resources, student orgs, resource navigators, talk them through, what that looks like, talk about their interests. So we're always happy to help them do that as well. The next question we didn't cover and is a little bit different, but if someone wants to speak to that, is what are there tutoring resources on campus, and where would a student go to find tutoring options?
I'll pop in here. There are a variety of tutoring resources on campus, and often they're within the department of the major or minors. Students will volunteer to tutor peers or to at least study group with peers. Additionally, we have a science learning center. We have a writing, Sweetland Writing Center. So there are varieties of centers that focus on particular curricula. And so they have a more formalized approach about setting up appointments, but it can be specific to the subject or the major or minor that the student is dealing with. Some tutoring is paid. There are graduate students on campus who charge nominal fees for tutoring. But I think one of the most ingenious and best methods is to get a group of students together from your class and make a study date and go sit down and study and collab in that way. A lot of the classes do already come with a student study group structure within them, but that's because they work. And it's just a really good idea to do a pickup game and do it in terms of a class. So lots of formalized structures, lots of informal structures. Um, Probably anyone on this call would be able to speak to it, but the short answer is yes.
Jerry, I think the question specifically asked about physics and calculus. So I don't know if you would want to go any deeper in the opportunities there.
Rather than take up the time, let me provide my contact information, and I'd be happy to do some individualized research on that, which is what we do in Resource Navigators. We really try to take the students with what they're dealing with personally and craft something for them. And then if we don't answer their questions, we do a follow-up in 2 weeks and we go back at it. So let me provide that contact information.
And Eric or Haley, do you have any insights on tutoring that you know people use?
Yeah, I had some friends who were tutors, I know in Chem Lab. So I would just say, talking to people across campus, I know there's some resources in the science, in the Chem building. So I know there's some other science related resources there. So I would say most definitely that would be a place to start.
Thank you. The next question is for Travis. Travis, can you speak to the timeline for NPHC organization accepting new members?
Yeah, thanks. Yeah. So it does vary. So as I mentioned, all of our organizations in Fraternity Sorority Life are also affiliated with a national headquarters or body or entity. And particularly for our NPHC organizations, their membership processes are driven also in coordination with that national headquarters. And so there are requirements that all fraternities or sororities must do and meet in conjunction with their national headquarters that also then grants that approval for the local chapter to do in membership. And so their membership processes are not as controlled at the local level. It is kind of governed by these national organizations. But I would say generally most organizations are doing membership once a semester. And for our NPHC organization, it really does varies whether some of them do their memberships tends to happen in the fall. But I would probably say the majority of the Divine Nine usually will have winter semester intake. So it will be happening in the January to April timeframe. But there are some fall lines as well. Happy to also drop our FSL information in the chat to do any other follow up if there's specific questions about a specific organization. So
Thank you, Travis. And our last question that we have time for, and I'm going to open this to everyone, is what advice do you have for students who may take on too much at one time?
I can definitely speak to that as a student who's been there, done that. I'm still kind of there sometimes. I'm still learning. But I think what's been helpful for me is kind of once I realize that I'm hitting the point of burnout or I have too much on my plate, I can't really give everything the fullest of my attention. I'm not necessarily succeeding or thriving. Once I feel that, I kind of have to sit and assess like what on my schedule, on my plate, on my calendar what aligns with my values and what I want to get out of my university college experience. So for me, giving back to the community is really important to me, and I have that through student government. And so I've kind of prioritized my student government responsibilities in addition to my classes. That's why I'm here. So it's just the way that I see it is thinking about what grounds you, what your values are, and what you want to achieve while you're here. Prioritize those first and other things kind of fall into place. And if that falls off the calendar for a little bit, that's okay. Just communicate with whoever you need to, and it's going to be okay. But definitely find what matters to you most, prioritize that, and then let the other things kind of fall into wherever they need to be in order for you to hit your sweet spot.
Thank you. That's great advice, Haley. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We are exactly at 7:30. I appreciate all of our presenters and the audience who's joined us tonight. If you have any questions, please reach out to us. We will share, like I mentioned, the presentations, the slides, and any of the Q&A questions that we didn't mention tonight. We'll provide those in an email to you. And as always, you can go see the conversation on our MFamily YouTube channel. So thank you and have a wonderful evening.